Welcome back to another episode, folks. And here we are looking now at the Knicks versus the Dallas Mavericks. And it's really the Knicks versus the Knicks East versus the Knicks West, if you think about it. It's the New York Knicks versus the Dallas Knicks, as most of the most of the players that are on the Mavs were once part of the Knicks. So here we go. Interesting things to note about this matchup between these two opponents. 80 games played total. The Mavericks are a young franchise, started in 1980. And 42 wins the Dallas Mavericks have against us, 38 wins we have against them. And to think, they had Dirk. And we only see them like twice a year. So over the span of from the 80s all the way to the 2020s, so what, 40 years, something like that? 42 wins. So it goes to show. It's pretty interesting. Of course, they have not played each other in the playoffs, as the Mavericks are in the Western Conference and the Knicks are in the Eastern Conference. So it's not one of those situations that we had, who was it with? Houston, where the Knicks did play them in the playoffs. Which is a funny stat and also a good trivia question if you ever make money. If you're ever a place to make money, a fun stat. Also, another interesting stat that I found out. I don't know how well circulated it is, but I've seen it around. Since 1947 up until now, at least one person who has suited up and I think played, don't quote me on the played part, but has been on the team of either team in the finals, has played for, played with, or will eventually play for the Knicks. Basically, what that means is two teams make it to the NBA Finals. At least one person on either team that made it to the finals either played previously for the Knicks and then made the finals with another team, played with the Knicks during the finals runs, or will eventually sign with the New York Knicks. So another stat to look up that I thought is pretty cool. Since 1947. Funny stat, but it's a thing. So another team that we're looking to try to gain our head-to-head matchup against. We only see them twice. So assuming that we win both games, we would get to 42 and 40, which means we would need two more wins for a head-to-head matchup. So we can get ahead in our head-to-head matchup within the next two seasons, and then by season 3, get over. But we don't know. We'll see what happens. Now, what I want to do is look at the last games that they played. So you see, they only play them twice. Two times, and that's been going on. I'm going to do this quick. So you see how it historically the Mavericks and the Knicks have only played twice in the regular season, and that trend seems to continue. We won the last game against them, and we're 1-1 last season. Season before that, when we weren't that good, we beat them twice. So we're 3-1 against them in our last 4. So that is interesting. Let me see what summary and stats say. Oh, that's just that. Okay, good to know. Now let's take a look at the first game that they played against each other, which was April 2nd, 2021. Even in the third quarter, that's the one thing about the Knicks that I'm focusing on, is their third quarter scoring output. But then we lost it in the fourth. And what was this, April? So everybody was probably a little tired. We'll see what Randall scored. We also let them get 27 points. They ended, interesting. Look at that, 22-27, 23-27. So they were a team at that point, at least for this game, they remained consistent with their output, and they finished the second half going into a break with a lead, and the fourth quarter ending the game with a lead and maintaining, if that makes any sense, at least just from a scoring output. This was home, and we could look at some stats too when I look at the splits. Luka's gonna get his, but he had 5 turnovers too. 26, 7, and 8. Who else helped? KP with 14 and 8. Josh Richardson is no longer there. I think he's on the Celtics. I think Finney Smith is also someone that's in contention to start. But this is a different team. They do have a new coach. So let's keep that in mind. Because Timmy may also start. 14. What do they shoot? 46%, 32%, and 50% from free throws. Whereas the Knicks, we made all our free throws, which is good. 31% and 31% from 3, 36% from the field. Randall did not shoot well. Reggie didn't shoot well. RJ didn't shoot well. Peyton was okay, but he didn't really contribute. Alec Burks. See, the thing is, that Knicks team last season, there was ball stagnation. D Rose 1 for 10, brother. When the ball isn't being moved and there was a heavy reliance on Julius Randle to make something happen, it would happen a lot of times. It would happen more times, you know? But in the fourth, with about 1 minute left or 2 minutes left, the ball was kind of stuck in his hands. And that's nothing against him. It's just what I was observing. So we're hoping for good quality decision making at those moments. And also 5 for 20 is not good at 37 minutes. Now, who was out? JJ Redick retired, Mitchell Robinson. Let's take a look at the next game. And then we come back with a vengeance, with great vengeance and furious anger. And what do we do? So we scored 34 in the first. Third, we scored 37. And in the fourth, we scored 34. Very nice. Very nice. But who played? We have to keep that in mind. Because remember, with those Celtics games, right? With those Celtics games, they didn't have Tatum or Brown, I think, or in one of those games. So they had Jabari Parker. Brando had 44. Oh, this is the triple-double. Right. Okay. Yeah. I remember this game now. No, it's not a triple-double, double-double. But I remember this game when he had 44 and 10 because I remember seeing the highlights. RJ had 34. Wow. Randall shot 29 shots. 6 for 9. Very good. Good job, Julius. Nerlens coming up. Look at that. 1 for 1, 4 for 4, 10 rebounds. There you go. 5 offensive rebounds. How fantastic. And D Rose chipped in. These are good these are fantastic current D Rose numbers. 15 and 5. Maybe 3 rebounds would be cool. Because he floats in the air still, you know? The way he moves in the air, he still has that, which I think is pretty cool. So, and he has more wisdom now. Obi's going to be a little bit different this year. I'm hoping that he gets going really well. 9 for 18 for RJ, 16 for 29, and he shot a lot of threes. Well, if they're going in, cool. Is that a knock sighting? No. KP, fairly even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players in scoring figures. But you know what I noticed about the NBA is it's common. It is more common now to have 5 players in scoring figures, in double digits rather. So there is a sense of scoring output, but you need your 1 and your 2 to kind of, your 1 and then your 2 kind of offsets your 1 sometimes. And sometimes your 2 can mix with, because that's what RJ also does too, I think. Tibbs puts RJ with the second unit, and it's interesting because you have nice offensive positioning and nice offensive maneuvering, and you have a quality performer in D Rose and RJ working together for that second unit, which I think is pretty cool. I'd like to see more of that. And now I want to look at where we were at the time. Good thing is it's all April, where we were when we played them. So we have here April 2nd. This is the Knicks. And then we have April 16th. So where were we? A 3-game losing streak after a 3-game winning streak. That sounded like the Knicks last season. Block wins. And we had a home, away, home. So we had to go, we were in New York, and then we had to fly to Minnesota and then come back home. But we had some time. We had a little bit of time off. Just one day. Just a day. And then for the 16th, then we were on a 9-game win streak. So they got caught at the wrong time. Those Mavericks, because we were 24-25. The next game we would go 500. We would go tick tack, tick tack, tick tack, tick tack like that. Now I want to see the Mavs where they were at this point. Now remember, this is there's still issues going on with the Mavericks in the locker room behind the scenes because Carlisle's gone. Oh, so they had a little win streak too. Win. 5-game win streak. And they were doing fairly well. And then loss, a win. Not too bad, because they had a pretty good record. Overall. 1 loss here, 2 losses there, a win, a loss, making up overall for time. But then they lost here 2 in a row. They were home at this game. They had a 2, 3, 4, 5-game home 5-game home stretch, and they lost 2 of them against the Knicks, who were kind of creeping on the door a little bit, and roughly about the same win-loss record. Let's take a look. 30-27, and they were what? 30-25. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. So that's where we were. By the time we got to the second game, we were both at a... That's why I'm saying it was the Knicks East versus the Knicks West, which is hilarious. So now let's look at their depth chart and things along that nature, because we're getting more towards the end of this. Josh Richardson is out. I'm on clutchpoints.com. Josh Richardson is on the Celtics. Luka, Jalen Brunson, Trey. He was a Knick. And they just got Reggie. So Reggie was a Knick as well. But that's their depth chart. Boban, Dorian. Dwight Powell also sometimes starts. I've seen some mock lineups, and he starts in some of these. They also have Frank. I forgot about Frank. Totally forgot about Frank. Don't get mad at me, Frank Hive, please. But Luka's looking like the point. KP's probably the center, power forward, something like that. They have Moses Brown. Someone to keep in mind. Moses Brown can play. He's one of those like raw potential freak athletes. And as long as he develops himself, he can be a double-double machine. He can be a double-double-double machine. Those 20 and 20 type games. If he tries. I want to take a look at... Oh, they also have a meme thing here. Let me take a look at Luka's splits. Home versus away. 9 assists. 9 assists home and 7 assists away. So when do we see them next season? I think this might be easier to take a look. Let me go back. I'm trying to find their head-to-head matchups. But for next season, you know what I can do? Go Mavericks here against the Knicks. No, that's not what I want. Whatever. I'll look at that in a bit. Home and road. Not too bad. 26. So we're looking for... That's interesting. When do we see them? December, January, February, March, April. So April and January, he seemed to ball out really well. What was his best scoring output? Oh, wow, April, yeah. So as he gets up and then down a little bit, but up and up. Interesting. Let's look at Timmy. 16 points a game, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. Huh, I'm surprised. Timmy seems more of like a 3 assists per game sort of guy. He's a little bit better on the road. Last season, he was a little bit better on the road. Yeah, interesting. In wins, how much does he points? Okay, so here's a fun little stat. If he scores last season, if he scored 15 points, they lost. They scored 17 points, they won. Interesting. What about with Luka? Win-loss. Okay, you got to get him closer to under 20. You don't want to get him too close to 30. What about KP? Mr. I blame the organization for my brother's issues that leak over into my life. Mr. Kristaps Porzingis, ladies and gentlemen. 20 and 8. I'm looking at about the same thing. Hopefully he gets time. What could have been with the Knicks, but... good. So under 20 points a game. We got to try to keep KP. Under 20 points a game. Luka, keep him under... If we can get him to 22. Timmy, 14 points. Because then they got to rely on other people. And I don't know. I don't think they had a draft. I don't think they had a pick this year. Because I think they gave it to the Knicks. Season series, that's what I was looking for. No worries. Versus Dallas. Oh, I gotta go down over here. Versus the Mavericks. So we see them January 19th and March 9th. January 19th. Oh, wait, what? Oh, my fault. January 12th and March 9th. So we'll have a 2-game home stretch. We'll be, but if you think about it, January 4th home versus Indiana East team. Home versus Boston on the 6th. 7th off. Go to Boston, which isn't too far. 8th, 9th off. 10th, home. 12th, home. And then we go to Atlanta, and then we have 4 games. Now for the Mavericks, let's see what they're doing. November, December, January 12th. They're home Nuggets, a day off, home versus Warriors. So good team, good team. Then they go to Houston, so they have to travel from Dallas to Houston, which isn't too bad. And then they come back home. So their schedule's good. Then they have to come to us. 9 with 10th and the 11th off. But we'll be home. So I'm probably going to say a Dallas win for that first game. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. I just think their schedule, even though we're home, we don't get a main break really from the 12th until the 15th. So after Dallas for that first game. So probably a Dallas win on that one. And then March is what I saw. This is for the Knicks. A West Coast loop. Man, this will be tough. After 4 games at home to end February, March. We stay east, but we go to Philadelphia, which isn't bad. But then we have to go to Phoenix, then to LA, then down to Sacramento's up from LA. So up to Sacramento, then down. You know, I'm hoping the Knicks win, but I could see 2 losses against. I could see 2 losses just on looking at the schedule alone. I could see that. And now where are the Mavericks at this time as well? So they'll be home. And but then they have to go away to Houston, which isn't too far after, then to Boston, and then they make an East Coast loop going down, and then they come home. So I think their schedule favors them. When I'm looking at their roster, and I'm looking at their stats for this team, for the Mavs, you've got a bona fide 25 point per game scorer who has a Porzingis is at this moment a Robin, but he's not a Dick Grayson. He's a I want to say like a Stephanie Brown, but he's a second. Timmy was their third in some cases, from what it seems, and they've got a lot of other players. Decent scoring output. They've got Reggie now, so Reggie's defending. Luka, I think they're gonna put Kemba on him. Timmy, we can probably put RJ on him. I think the Timmy RJ matchup will probably be because RJ's stronger. RJ's a lot stronger. I wonder if Mitch can guard, because I think Mitch played in preseason. If Mitch can guard KP, if we can stop KP, Luka will do his thing. Maybe. But I would say the keys to kind of stopping them, if I had to kind of guess, they're going to shoot, which means they're going to look for open people. I want to know where their bigs would be for spacing and protection. If we could take away their spacing, that'll be interesting. They may want to run a fast pace because Jason Kidd is now their coach, so they're looking to get more quality sort of passes to each other. So look for an uptick when it comes to trying to make the best play, which means trying to get the rebound, looking to try to get second chance points. They're going to attempt to get proper floor spacing. They'll be a well-coached team. I don't know how well prepared they'll be. I think they'll rely more on their talent and their strategy on how they play basketball, and then against their opponent. Whereas I think a Tibbs team is prepared and ready to grind down. If you can grind shooters down, and take away their shot, or if you could grind a team that could score high offenses, if you can grind them down and get them to defensively suffer, and to the point where they can't find their shot with stops. Now, Reggie will want to stop. Reggie will want to defend well. And everyone else is going to. It's a nice team, the Mavericks, and they could be. They're an interesting team. We'll see what happens. So if you can stop them on a few little things, maybe potentially. But if I had to guess, just off the minimum amount of stats that we've looked at today, I would say that the Dallas Mavericks win both games. And that's okay. And that's okay to say. And we'll go from there. Highlights or leaders of the games for both games, I want to say, if everybody suits up fairly well, let's go with the first game. I think Randall's going to be fantastic. Maybe 27 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists. And then IQ will have, in the second game, 16 points. Something like that. So, that's Knicks against Mavs. I hope you guys enjoyed that.